Let me ask you a simple question. Do you wake up with constipation, gas, bloating, acidity, or a heavy feeling in your stomach, even though you are careful about what you eat? As a gastroenterologist, I see people every day who are frustrated by exactly this problem. They take their medicines, they avoid foods that trigger discomfort, they try home remedies, some even spend money on digestive supplements. Yet their stomach still does not feel settled. What many people never consider is their morning routine. What you do during the first part of your morning can strongly influence your bowel routine and how comfortable your digestion feels as the day begins. And after the age of 60, when constipation, reflux, slower bowel habits, and the use of multiple medicines become more common, these small daily habits deserve even more attention. Your digestive system does not work at exactly the same level throughout 24 hours. Like the rest of your body, it follows a biological clock called the circadian rhythm. During sleep, activity in the colon becomes relatively quiet. After you wake up, bowel activity naturally starts increasing again. Then, when you eat, the stomach and intestine receive another strong signal that encourages the colon to move. This is why the morning is such an important opportunity. You can support these natural signals, or you can begin the day in a way that works against regular bowel habits. Late nights, irregular meal timings, too little fluid, prolonged sitting, stress, and repeatedly ignoring the urge to pass stool can all make your digestive routine less regular. Over time, you may find yourself waking with a heavy stomach, struggling in the toilet, reaching immediately for tea or coffee, and then wondering why your digestion feels uncomfortable. Persistent or worsening digestive symptoms should not simply be blamed on your morning routine. They need to be properly checked. But for many people, correcting basic daily habits is an important place to start. The good news is that improving your morning does not require an expensive supplement, a complicated detox, or a strict diet. There are 4 simple habits I want you to focus on. How you hydrate, how you move, how you use the toilet, and how you handle your first proper meal. Stay with me until the 4th habit, because that is the one many people get wrong while believing they are doing something completely normal. The goal is simple. Work with your gut's natural daily rhythm instead of fighting against it. That brings us to the first morning habit, hydration. After several hours of sleep, you have gone a long time without drinking anything. So when you wake up, start simply. Have 1 or 2 glasses of plain water. It can be lukewarm or at normal room temperature. You do not need boiling water, alkaline water, detox water, or any expensive morning drink. And you do not need to force down a liter of water at once. Drink comfortably and continue taking fluids through the day. The purpose is not to wash out toxins. Your kidneys and liver already handle that job. The purpose is much more practical. To replace fluid after the overnight fast and support normal stool consistency, especially if constipation is already a problem. Adequate fluid matters because the colon absorbs water from intestinal contents as stool forms. When your overall fluid intake is too low, stool can become harder and more difficult to pass. This is especially important if you are increasing fiber in your diet, because fiber works better when you are also drinking enough fluid. But I want to correct one common misunderstanding. Drinking a glass of water does not magically switch on the gastrocolic reflex, and it is not a treatment for excess stomach acid. Water can temporarily change the acidity inside the stomach, but that effect is brief. Your stomach continues producing acid as part of normal digestion. The stronger natural bowel signal usually comes after you eat. When food enters and stretches the stomach, the digestive system sends signals that increase movement in the colon. We will use that natural response later when we discuss breakfast and your toilet routine. Now let us talk about a very common morning habit. Waking up and immediately having strong tea or coffee, sometimes with 2 or 3 biscuits. Tea and coffee are not automatically harmful, and you do not need to stop them simply because you have digestive symptoms. But if they repeatedly trigger burning, reflux, stomach discomfort, or a sour sensation, pay attention to that pattern. Have some water first, and if tea or coffee still triggers your symptoms, reduce the amount or change the timing and see whether your digestion feels better. The same applies to lemon water. It is not a compulsory digestive remedy and it does not detox your liver. If you enjoy it and it causes no problem, that is fine. But if acidic drinks trigger burning or reflux for you, forcing yourself to drink concentrated lemon water every morning is not a good choice. One more point is important after 60. If your doctor has advised you to restrict fluids because of heart failure, kidney disease, or another medical condition, follow that advice rather than suddenly increasing your water intake. So keep the first habit simple. Begin the day adequately hydrated without turning your morning into a complicated health ritual. And once you have given your body fluid, the next step is to get it moving. The second morning habit is simple physical activity. You do not need an exhausting workout, and you certainly do not need to run. Even 20 to 30 minutes of comfortable movement can be a practical way to start your day. That could be brisk walking, gentle cycling, stretching, yoga, Surya Namaskar if it is suitable for you, or another form of activity you can perform safely and consistently. Why does movement matter for digestion? Your intestine is not a fixed tube. Its muscles produce coordinated contractions that help move intestinal contents forward. Peristalsis is one important part of this movement. Regular physical activity supports normal bowel function, and studies involving people with constipation suggest that exercise can improve symptoms and bowel regularity. But I want you to understand this correctly. 20 minutes of exercise every morning will not suddenly cure constipation, and one short walk will not completely transform your gut microbiome overnight. The benefit is much more practical. When regular movement becomes part of your daily routine, you are supporting bowel function while also improving mobility, muscle strength, blood sugar control, circulation, and overall metabolic health. These benefits become especially important after 60, when prolonged sitting and loss of muscle strength can gradually affect everyday health and independence. Movement can also be useful for people living with irritable bowel syndrome or IBS. IBS is closely connected with the gut-brain system, and symptoms often become more troublesome during periods of stress. Studies of physical activity and practices such as yoga suggest that they can help some people with IBS symptoms and quality of life. If you value clear, science-based digestive health information like this, subscribe to the channel. Now, one mistake I often see is people hearing that exercise is good and immediately doing too much. That is not necessary. Have some water, give your body a few minutes to wake up, and then start gently. If you already exercise regularly, continue at a level that suits you. If you have heart disease, significant joint problems, dizziness, breathing difficulty, or you have been inactive for a long time, choose an activity that is appropriate for your condition and discuss a new exercise program with your doctor when needed. The best activity is usually the one you can repeat regularly without pain, excessive exhaustion, or fear. You also do not have to exercise on an empty stomach simply because somebody told you it burns more fat. For digestive health, there is no need to turn morning exercise into another rigid rule. So far, the routine is simple. Begin the day hydrated, then add comfortable movement. But there is another signal many people repeatedly ignore, even when their own body is asking for it. That brings us to the third morning habit, your toilet routine. This is something many people underestimate. They focus on fiber, medicines, or home remedies, but then repeatedly ignore the natural urge to pass stool. Over time, that can work against a regular bowel habit. When you feel a genuine urge in the morning, do not keep postponing it because you are checking messages, rushing to work, preparing breakfast, or doing household chores. Go to the toilet when you reasonably can and give your body enough time without forcing anything. For people struggling with constipation, establishing a regular bowel routine can be useful. One particularly practical time is after breakfast. Eating naturally stimulates activity in the colon, which is why trying to pass stool about 15 to 45 minutes after breakfast can help some people develop a more predictable routine. But there is one important rule. Do not strain aggressively. A regular toilet time can be helpful, But regular does not mean forcing your body to produce a bowel movement on command. If nothing is happening, sitting there and pushing harder is not the solution. Give your body the opportunity, but do not turn every morning into a battle with the toilet. Repeated straining is unnecessary and can make the entire experience more uncomfortable. Your position can also matter. If you use a Western-style commode, you can try placing your feet on a small, stable footstool so that your knees are slightly higher than your hips. Some people find this position more comfortable for passing stool. But a footstool is not a guaranteed treatment for constipation, and it does not improve evacuation for everyone. Use it if it helps you. Do not force yourself into an uncomfortable position simply because somebody told you that everyone must squat. And please leave your mobile phone outside the toilet. Many people sit on the commode scrolling through WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, or the news long after they have finished trying to pass stool. The longer you remain seated simply scrolling, the more unnecessary time you spend on the commode. Finish what you came to do, then get up and move on. The toilet should support a healthy bowel routine, not become a place where you sit for 20 or 30 minutes every morning. If you are following this routine with me, comment the word routine below. That one word will remind you that bowel regularity is built through simple habits repeated consistently. And remember, persistent constipation should not simply be accepted as part of getting older. If constipation continues despite these changes, or you have bleeding, unexplained weight loss, persistent abdominal pain, vomiting, or a major unexplained change in your usual bowel pattern, get it checked properly. So now we have 3 steps. Begin the day hydrated, add comfortable movement, and respect your body's natural bowel signals. But the 4th habit is where many people undo all of this without realizing it. It is what you do with your first proper meal of the day. That brings us to the 4th and final morning habit, your first proper meal of the day. Breakfast is not magic, and skipping it once does not suddenly damage your digestive system. But for people who struggle with constipation or irregular bowel habits, a regular morning meal can be useful because eating naturally stimulates activity in the colon. That is one reason breakfast can fit well with the toilet routine we discussed earlier. A pattern I often see is people spending the first several hours of the day on only tea, coffee, biscuits, or highly refined snacks, and then eating a much heavier meal later. A better approach is to make your first proper meal balanced. Think of 3 things: protein, fiber, and healthy fats. For an Indian breakfast, that could be eggs with vegetables, idli or dosa with sambar containing dal and vegetables, vegetable poha with peanuts, or oats with nuts and seeds. You can also include fruits such as guava, papaya, apple, or orange, depending on what suits you. Fiber from whole grains, pulses, vegetables, fruit, nuts, and seeds help support normal bowel function. Protein makes the meal more satisfying. The goal is not to create a perfect breakfast. It is to build a meal that gives your body more than refined carbohydrates alone. For an everyday breakfast, try not to rely mainly on sugar-heavy cereals, biscuits, sweet bakery foods, puri, kachori, samosa, or other deep-fried options, especially when they replace foods providing fiber and protein. You do not have to ban these foods forever. They simply should not become the foundation of your morning routine. Now bring the 4 habits together. Start the day with adequate hydration, add comfortable movement, respect your natural bowel urge, and build a sensible toilet routine. Then have a balanced first meal containing fiber, protein, and real food. You do not need a detox powder, an expensive probiotic drink, or a complicated morning ritual. Try these 4 habits consistently for the next 2 weeks and observe your own pattern: stool consistency, bloating, comfort, and regularity. If symptoms continue or worsen, get them properly checked rather than endlessly changing home remedies. For bowel regularity, consistency matters far more than extreme morning routines. If this video helped you, give it a like and share it with a family member or friend who struggles with constipation, gas, bloating, or an uncomfortable stomach in the morning.